Hey everyone, today we're gonna run our electric vehicle to get the speed and accuracy that we desire. You'll notice that I've laid out two pieces of tape with this really long measuring tape that I got off of Amazon Basics. So a couple things from the previous video that I want to clear up. First, I taped down these wires, the motor wires and the encoder wires, because they were rubbing against this belt over here, and you don't want that. Second of all, I found it had more friction at the end of that video, and you could hear something rattling around. I found that this pulley right here was scraping against these screws, so I kind of just loosened the set screw, moved it outwards, and I tightened it again. So now it's got a good distance from these screws. And of course, make sure that this encoder piece right here is not rubbing against this, the encoder PCB. Make sure like there's a little small gap between them. It'll still work and it'll have a lot less friction. Make sure your batteries are well charged before competitions, and also just generally while testing, because the more charged your batteries are, the faster your vehicle is going to go. So make sure to test it and run it at competitions with fully charged batteries. Now we're going to clean the wheels. You should clean the wheels. You'll notice that these wheels get dirty over time. Right now they're pretty clean, but they're still, I can feel that they're pretty dirty. So make sure to clean the wheels pretty much every time you're going to do a set of run, and also make sure to clean them before competitions. So way I found that works to clean the wheels is essentially get a small, slightly damp paper towel. I kind of just like rub the dust of the wheels off to this side while spinning the wheels. Obviously hold the vehicle in the air and do this when you're doing it. But now we're gonna dry off the wheels. So just get like a similar sized but dry piece of paper towel. I'm just gonna go over the same side to side motion to clean the wheels. And actually, if you know a better way of doing it, then feel free to do it that way. It's just like the way that I made up. All right, so I've dried off the wheels and you'll notice that they're very clean now. The next thing we need to do is enter in the target distance. I've actually measured out exactly 7 meters over here. So let's enter that in. First, plug in this USB-C port. Make sure that, of course, your USB-C port should be facing out the back of the vehicle. All right, you saw that white light turn on. That means it has power. You just need any app that has a serial terminal. I like using Arduino IDE just because I have it on me, but it doesn't really matter. Just like pick whatever thing that isn't normally on your computer, and you'll see that we now have it open here. Note that the baud rate doesn't really matter. Now you can just enter any key that you want. I'm just gonna press E and hit enter. Now you'll see that it prints this out, and the light on it is now blue. So it says entering programming mode. Enter D to change the distance, currently 8.5, which is what I was testing earlier. But if yours is just come, it's probably gonna be 7. And T to change the ticks per meter. So essentially this encoder over here will create a certain number of ticks every time the vehicle travels a meter. But you'll probably need to tune this distance for every different distance that you do. So this is one thing that you need to do when you get this kit, and that is that you need to test the ticks per meter at 7 meters, at 8.5 meters, and at 10 meters. And that way, you'll probably just be able to create a model for how that changes based on the distance, and you can plug that in when they tell you the distance at the competition. So for 8.5 meters, I found that 146.9 works really well. But now, let's do it for 7 meters. So first I'm gonna press D, enter 7.000 as the distance, and it saves it as 7.00 meters. Now, since I don't really know the ticks per meter right now, I'm just gonna press F for finish. You'll notice that the light on this turned off. Now we're ready to run it. All right, so now we're at the track that I set up. And one thing you'll notice is that I put a blue box way down there, and I've kind of centered it with the tape over there. So you obviously have to use your own like blue box or whatever, but I'm just going to be using this one, and this is how I've set it up. I'm not really sure if this is how a real competition will work since I haven't done one yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the front edge of this measuring point at the back edge of the tape. Like, that looks pretty good. right? And then we're gonna try to get to the back edge of the tape over there. Now grab your laser pointer that comes with the kit. I just kind of like to leave it here when I'm not using it, although obviously take it out before the run. If they ask for the label, you'll notice that it's labeled appropriately over here. Push it into this measuring point mount. Oops, I pushed it back a little. Yep, and now I'm just gonna turn it on. And I found that this vehicle likes to steer right. Oh, aim it at the box. And that's pointing pretty far left. So I'm just gonna push the vehicle right a bit with my hand. So I've noticed that the vehicle likes to steer right, which is why I'm going to point this a little left of the center. But obviously, like, measure this before the competition. I'm going to mark the location of the laser pointer on the box when we finish this run and I see how far off it is. All right, so now just grab this little white jumper and move it to the on position. Notice that it makes 2 beeps. Press the green button and obviously time it when you're doing this for real. That was surprisingly accurate. But I do, in fact, need to aim it more right. So earlier I was aiming it to this point on the box. I think I might just try aiming it to the center point on the box, because I'm gonna grab my calipers. So I've got my calipers, and you'll notice that we're about 138 millimeters off this way, which would mean that I have to actually point about to the edge of this CNC label. So I'll point there. All right, so you can see that we're supposed to line this point right here up to this back edge of the tape. And you'll notice that the front is in front of that. So what I'm gonna do is I've noticed that the back edge of the tape is just pretty much aligned up with this axle right here. So I'm kind of just gonna measure the distance between the two. And you'll see that we're about 34 millimeters too far, 35, I think. So we can do the calculation for that and make it more accurate. So the distance we went was 7 meters plus 35 millimeters. That means we went 7.035 millimeters. Now we can just multiply that by the ticks per cm. So I'm gonna go into programming mode right now. You'll see that when I press a key, it turns blue. Right now our ticks per meter is 146.9. So we're going to have to make that a little lower for it to go less distance. So we'll go 7 over 7.035, right? So that'll make it a number that's slightly less than 1. Do times 146.9. We need to have 146 point, I'm just gonna put in 146.2. So I go T 146. Actually, I'm gonna make it 146.1 just because when it goes a little straighter, it'll go a little further. So I'm just gonna round it down. So I'm gonna do 146.1. I'm gonna save it. And this is also the Excel sheet that I'm just gonna use to track this. So I'm just gonna put in 136.1. Right, so we're back at the track. I've aimed it towards that like CNC machining like symbol over on the box over there. Now, this tape isn't actually quite straight, so this is a little scuffed, but let's try it. Oh my god, that's really, really good. Let's just measure it. So it looks pretty much centered, so I think aiming at that CNC machining symbol is really good. So that looks like 5.36 millimeters. And I'm just going to go back in the video editor and calculate the amount of time it was, and I'll put it right here. So I think that was overall a pretty good run, and I'm just gonna do it once more just to verify that this is good. But I think this ticks per meter value is pretty accurate. Back at the start once more, and you'll notice that after 2 runs, the wheels have gotten kind of dirty, which is obviously not ideal. And if it was a competition, I think I would probably clean it right now, although I'm not sure if that would be allowed during competition. So if it is, just make sure to try to clean your wheels as often as you can, but I'm gonna run it once more. And once again, it's 7 millimeters short, and I think I needed to aim it a little more right. But overall, 5 millimeters and 7 millimeters, and I'll put up the calculations for like whatever the score is over here. Yeah, I hope that was pretty good, but I think that looked pretty good. And make sure to like, if this was real, I'd probably put a marking on the box around like maybe like a black dot over here. And during competition, I'd always probably try to aim it over here. And of course, during competition, make sure to move your box away. And also probably use something a little taller than this box. It's kind of hard to like aim it at this box. So I can make a vertical line here and use something taller. So I'm going to update this value in the Excel sheet. All right, so I calculated it with that, with those 5 millimeters factored in. And we can see that it should have been 146.2. So I'm just gonna write 146.2 down as my ticks per meter for this distance. And yeah, I'd recommend you start out with a number close to this when you start out testing. But overall, I think it's pretty good. During competition, you should make sure to use a box that has all the appropriate markings on it, and make sure to use the right ticks per meter value for your distance over here. But you're probably just gonna have to refine it based off of the first run like I did in this video, so you might just not get as good results as I did for the last 2 runs of this video. So today we learned that first, make sure to have fully charged batteries before all your runs. And interestingly, actually, after those 2 runs, this heatsink has gotten a little warm, and same for this the power regulators. So it's just pulling a crazy amount of power during these short runs. But make sure to have fully charged batteries. Make sure to clean your wheels basically as often as you can. And finally, make sure that you've entered in the right distance and the right ticks per meter into the controller. And make sure that you've tuned that for at least 7, 8.5, and 10 meters, but preferably like do it as many times as you can, of course, to get the most practice. Finally, make sure that you marked on your box where you need to aim, so that you're aiming to the correct spot and getting as close to the center of the tape as possible and as close to it distance-wise as you can. One more thing, while transporting this, I just like to leave my little laser pointer right here. It's pretty secure.